Hi there, this is Nick Payne, and I thought today I would share with you what I've been doing with my client when been looking to enhance their visual management. Why is that keep doing that? Something flashing up on my screen keeps doing that. I have to fix that. I don't know what it is. Okay, so what I will do when I first go in, I'm looking at visual management. Do I just jump straight in and do it? No, I don't. The first thing I'm going to do is find out who I'm working with and attempt to build rapport. So the guy I've been working with this week, and it's a place I've been to before, but I didn't see him. Now this guy's the ops manager, and introduced to him, and I found out he's ex-British military. So we've immediately got that in common. So that shortcut an awful lot of stuff. And we were able to start talking about what we've done in the past. There's always an instant bond there with ex-military people for some strange reason, but it enabled me to start the ball rolling fairly quick. So what do you think the next step would be once we've got Pally, we've got Chummy, and then we need to put some visual management in place? What we're going to do? So the next step is definitely not to figure out what we've got to do. It's to make sure we have an understanding of why we're going to do it. So the reason that we have visual management is, one is to communicate the planned activity. The second thing is to report on what happened. That enables us to identify there's been a difference. Therefore, we should be able to say why that's happened. Then we get a chance to say what we're going to do about it, both short term and long term. So that's the why. The visual management that you use should always lead to action. That is the whole point and purpose of visual management. So once that was clear, that's the aim of what we're trying to do, that means I'm not trying to load this person up with additional tasking, it's trying to make improvement in the organisation. It's important that everyone understands that before you even take the next step. So the next thing we had to do was to figure out, what are we going to do? What are we going to put on the wall? Now, what we generally got is you've got a two-step process to your visual management. You've got your tactical implementation for management and tactical implementation for shop floor. So what the management are looking at is going to be slightly different from what the shop floor is looking at. And the idea is not to put the whole story of the world up on the wall. You want to put what they're able to look at to enable some decisions to be made at the correct level. So first thing we think about putting on the wall, on the left hand side, because you tend to go left to right because that's how we read stuff in our Western ideology. On the left we're going to put anything related to health and safety, and it's not anything. Actually what we're trying to do is put some KPIs and keep it as visual as possible. So we want to know if there's been any incidents. So often what we do there is put a cross up, boxed up, numbered 1 to 31, obviously with days in the month. And then we say, were there any incidents yesterday? And if there's no incidents, we get a big green cross. If there were any incidents, you get a big red cross. So straight away you can see how you've been performing for safety. That's known as a lagging indicator. What we also want to do is to say, well, what can we do to stop accidents from happening? So what we can do is risk assessments. So these guys have a thing called a dynamic risk assessment, and they can count the number of those that happen. So the more of those that get done, the less chance you've got of an incident. So that's called a leading indicator. So we can have leading and lagging indicators for health and safety. Now that's obviously the most important because one, we don't want people to get hurt, and two, we have legislation that can put people in prison if someone does get hurt. So we've got multiple levels of responsibility and accountability for them. The next thing we had was to put on the wall was some contractual KPIs. Now they're the basic numbers, so we put on the wall what those numbers are, what should happen, what did happen. If it gets close to or below what the numbers are, we need to know why and what's being done about it. Quite simple. The next thing we're doing as we go around the wall will be production. So when we're looking at production there, what would turn out to be functionally where I am at the moment is they're having broadly 4 types of work. Therefore, they need 4 different types of ways of indicating that type of work. But they all follow a similar thing, and that is, what was the planned work? What was the actual work? Was there a difference? If there was, why was there a difference? What are we doing about it? Now, if you can't answer the what are we doing about it inside that meeting, which should be 20 minutes, then it's got to be taken offline, outside that meeting, and fixed offline. And that's very important, because we can do something about it in the short term, which is a workaround usually, or and some sort of expediting, or overtime, or whatever, or throw money at it, whatever it's got to be. That can get rid of it in the short term, but we want to get rid of it long term. So part of that action needs to be, what we're going to do about it is it's going to go into either an improvement plan, or we're going to make note of it and see if that sort of thing comes up again. If that keeps coming up again, we definitely need to fix it. And that decision can be made in that room at that point. So that's the power of having these meetings, and they're only 20 minutes long, but they happen every day. The next thing that we needed to look at, so we've got health and safety, we've got contractual stuff, you've got production, and then we're looking at quality. So quality is basically saying, right, is the work we're doing any good? So again, you can see you could have lagging indicators there. So that could be the number of defects found internally, you could have number of defects found externally, or non-conformance reports. That sort of stuff can be displayed there. And that can get updated daily. There's no reason why it can't be. And you can also have leading indicators, such as how many quality audits, or what quality audits have got done, and when did they get done by. Again, leading indicators, you look at quality audits, you're looking for things that could potentially be wrong, so you're making them right. You get a chance to make them right, sorry. The next thing we want to be looking at on that one, and this is purely because of the frequency that you look at it, and that's the environmental stuff. Mainly because it takes a while to get the information together, and often the actions you put in place to improve the environmental performance take some time to filter through, fairly often. So if we don't make it nice and visual about our environmental performance, nothing will happen. So we want to put that right up there in management faces, so they've got something to look at, something to talk about, and something to decide upon. Obviously, with climate change at the moment, that sort of stuff appears to be important, and it is, because we need to look after this one home we've got at the moment. And then the next thing we've got after that, so you've got your health and safety, you've got contractual, you've got production, you have quality, you've got environmental. The next thing is your big list of additional things that need to happen. Those things that need to happen will come from the previous items in the meeting, and that's all the things you can't fix right now. They need to get done, so what we do with that list is prioritize them, and it becomes what's the issue or the concern, and what's the action, who's responsible for it, and when's it going to get done by. So again, what we need to do is make some time to come back and look at this to make sure that we're on top of our improvement plan. And then once you knock all these things off, once you get through all of this, and there's nothing on there, you can then become proactive instead of reactive. And that's the long-term aim of any organisation, is to increase your ability to be proactive. If you're proactive, you can understand the needs of the customer, and you can set up your processes and everything else that follows on from that to make the customer happy, and to also ensure that you can make some money at the same time you're doing it. Now that's for the management side of visual management. The next level that we need to do is the line side. Now that is going to be slightly different, because it's going to be more detailed about the particular function that it's with. but it also needs to pretty much follow a similar plan of the people doing the work need to know what work is coming up, what are they doing right now, how long is it going to take, how many people are going to be doing it. That's the plan side, and then report that on the actuals. So when was it planned to start, when did it actually start? How many people are supposed to be working on it, how many actually are working on it? How many hours was it supposed to take, how many did it take? If there's any gaps, any differences, why? What was the problem? What are we doing about it? And then all the concerns that they have that crop up during their day-to-day, they've got an area where they can write all that stuff down to feed that back to management. Now what that means is, in this instance, the ops manager is going to go around and look at the line-side visual management boards, because they're going to be in each work function, and get that information together to take it back to report that to the senior management team on a daily basis. That means you've got a 360-degree loop of communication happening in the facility. Senior stakeholders can come in and have a look at that and think, okay, I see what's going on at a glance, and I can see whether or not it's in control. So the visual stuff will drive people to do things. If they don't, it's embarrassing and gets uncomfortable. So that's where that drive comes in. People don't like being embarrassed and uncomfortable at work, therefore they're more likely going to do it. And to be honest, most management get to that role because they're keen for stuff to work. So all we're trying to do is make it easy for them to do their job. Okay, so that's my take on visual management. Excuse me. Give me your thoughts below. If you've got any images that you would like to share on that, please do. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.